The villainous young lady deliberately embarrassed the commoner Saintess in front of others. This made the Saintess's followers all displeased with her, but what they didn't know was that Jenny was acting on the king's orders to challenge the Saintess, helping her break free from her blind followers. It was also a test for Jenny set by the king. To assess how Jenny was performing as this sharpening stone, the king arranged for Jenny to attend a tea party held to evaluate the Saintess. Before the event began, the Saintess's protective older brothers gave Jenny a warning in advance. They wouldn't tolerate her making things difficult for the Saintess in public. Meanwhile, the nobles waiting at the venue were even more hostile towards Jenny, all because she had recently scolded the Saintess in front of everyone. But what they didn't know was that the Saintess, without facing any hardships, would never pass the king's test that day. The king opened the discussion with news that the neighboring country was now bankrupt, asking the young nobles present for their opinions. Hearing this, the Saintess suggested forming an alliance to weather the financial crisis together. However, this exact scenario had been strategized by Jenny 3 years prior, when she secretly infiltrated the academy to draft a proposal which had already received the king's approval. Jenny believed their own thriving nation should annex the neighboring country early, though the Saintess opposed such a conquest. Jenny argued that if they didn't seize this opportunity, the neighboring land would soon fall into another country's hands, creating a substantial border threat. Even the Saintess's followers had no counter to this, and all they could do was listen as the Saintess's objections gradually faded. Jenny, noticing this, couldn't stand it anymore, pointing out that if the Saintess wanted to be a saint to all, she needed to learn to address problems at their root. Rather than advocating an alliance, she suggested increasing trade with the neighboring country. Thanks to Jenny's insight, the Saintess finally realized that by processing the neighboring country's crops, they could immediately boost their own food supplies, and thus alleviate some financial strain. While it seemed that the Saintess presented this solution at the end, the king had been observing the entire exchange, had already formed his judgment on the level of each.